Do you smell that, friends? The pollen, the rain. That's right, spring is in the air, which means bumblebees. I'm just kidding. Spring training is here and it's back. Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago, and yes, we will get talking about baseball, but there's also a bunch of rumors flying around the mill. Kyle Lowry, Kristaps Porzingis, Russel Wilson could be on the move. Stick with us, friends, because sports starts now. Track 2, take 1, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. For those of you that are new to the show, welcome one and welcome all. It is fantastic to see you. We like to talk about all the sports news and information from the previous week and give you some insight onto the next new week, month, year, whatever. If you like what you hear, find me on Soundcloud, Twitter, YouTube, and the Facebook. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. And you hit that subscribe, like, comment, scream it from the rooftops, tell your friends, families, and other next of kin. And, so that's me in a nutshell in this show, in some kind of shell. How are you guys doing? Did you have a good weekend? Yeah, me too. I did nothing because it's COVID. You know what, though? At least we have sports, right? Because spring training last year, everything got shut down, and we didn't have any sports to talk about. How did I do a show for 6 months, for like 3-4 months, with zero sports? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sure it wasn't very entertaining, but that's okay, because I'm here now, and we do have sports to talk about. Are you ready to talk? Because boy, howdy, gee golly, willikers, I'm ready to talk, and there's a lot to talk about. Let's first start. The biggest story all over the place, everywhere this week, was Tiger Woods was in an accident. He had a few open fractures, which, those can be some serious business. Tiger Woods is recovering and in good spirits, according to this ESPN article. He's having a few follow-up procedures on his legs this Friday morning. So fingers crossed, he may have to go through a little bit of rehab before he's back out there. But I hope that Tiger can still continue to golf his way into the hearts of America. Let's talk about the NBA. Lot of games. Let's go back to Friday here. So Celtics and Pacers. Celtics came out with a win, 118-112. The Celtics have had a rough couple of games, but they're trying to pull it back together. Raptors beat the Rockets 122-111. Pistons getting a loss to the Kings 110-107. Suns beat the Bulls 106-97. Clippers beating the Grizzlies 119-99. Heat versus the Jazz, with the Heat coming out on top 124-116. Huge win for the Heat. Huge. They needed that. Thunder get a win over the Hawks 118-109. Lakers beat the Trailblazers 102-93. Hornets fall to the Warriors 130-121. Now, yesterday's games, Cavaliers beating the 76ers 112-109. Wizards beat the Timberwolves 128-112. Spurs get a win over the Pelicans 117-114. And the Nuggies get a win over the Thunder 126-96. Kings, wow. Knicks, the Knickerbockers beat the Pacers 110-107. Jazz beat the Magic 124-109. Mavericks, big win over the New York Brooklyn Nets. The Mavs, of course, Doncic leading the way with 27. Kristaps Porzingis with 18. Yeah, we're going to talk about Porzingod in a moment. James Harden out there solo with 29 points. Mavs get a big win. Today's games, most of them haven't happened yet as of this recording, but the Bucks beat the Clippers. That was the big one, 105-100. Giannis with 36 points, Middleton with 19, Brooks Lopez with 10. Clippers, Kawhi Leonard with 25 points to his name, and Paul George with 16. So big win there for the Bucks. Celtics and Wizards are tonight. Celts need a big win. Rockets and Grizzlies. You have the Heat and the Hawks. Knicks and Pistons. Lakers, Warriors. That could be fun, but not too many ramifications there. Suns and Timberwolves, and then you have the Hornets and the Kings. So not too many exciting games, but let's take a quick peek at these standings. In the East, you have the 76ers on top, 22-12. You have the Nets at 22-13. They are 8-2 in their last 10. The Sixers, meanwhile, are 5-5 in their last 10. Bucks are 21-13. Raptors 17 all. Knicks are 17 all. That's right. The Knicks are tied for 4th place with the Raptors. I'm so excited that but also have a 500 record. We're just going to bring that up real quick. Is that how bad the East is right now? That the Knicks are in 4th place with a 500 record? It's fine. It's fine. We're moving on. Celtics are 16-17. Like I've said, rough couple of weeks. They're 4-6 right now. Heat are 16-17. Bulls are 15-17. I'm sorry, the Bulls? The Bulls? Pacers 15-17. Hornets 15-17. Hawks are 14-19. So you got a bit of a logjam here. Any one of these teams, really Wizards, Magic, Cavaliers, they're still pretty close to being in it. And then you have the Pistons. Pistons are 9-24. If I had to guess right now, first off, the Wizards are 7-3 in their last 10. Westbrook and Beal are starting maybe to pull something together. I think the Wizards have a good chance of getting out of this logjam. Pacers, Bulls, Hornets, really it could be any one of those teams. I think the Knicks will stay in and make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to remain the 4th seed. The Raptors, I should mention, the Raptors were not even close 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. They are pummeling their way to the 4th seed right now. So really anything can happen. Even the Celtics being 16-17, I just don't see that lasting. They're a better team than that. They'll pull it together. Moving into the West, you have the Jazz on top, 27-7. Why did I just click on Mavericks? That's fine. Lakers 23-11, Clippers 24-12, the Suns 21-11, Spurs 17-12, Trailblazers 18-14. That's right, the Trailblazers finally looking good. Warriors at 19-15, Nuggets 18-15. They're another team that struggled early on this year. Mavericks pulling together. They're 16-16. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Then you have the Grizzlies at 14, Pelicans with 14 wins, Thunder with 14 wins, the Kings with 13, Rockets with 11, and the Timberwolves with 7. The Mavericks could squeak into these playoffs right now. The Nuggets have a few wins over them at the moment. So it's not really a logjam in the West, but there's a lot of teams that are going to move up and down. I think regardless, you'll see the Jazz, Lakers, Clippers as your top 3. Everyone else after that, who knows? The Suns are kind of a surprise to everybody right now, being the 4th seed. Again, very early into the season. But one quick thing that happened this week, Oklahoma City, a bit of a mix-up, playing the Atlanta Hawks earlier. When was this? This was on Friday night. I'm going to show you the picture here if you're watching our YouTube channel. Basically, both teams are wearing very similarly colored jerseys, and that has to be obnoxious as hell for the refs, for the guys in the booth, for fans watching at home. So yeah, the NBA actually made them change jerseys at halftime. I love it. I'm glad they had a backup prepared. There's probably just some breakdown in communications as they're planning these things out. One of the biggest stories in the last week is former NBA star Jeremy Lin. Apparently, somebody called him coronavirus while he was playing basketball. He currently plays for the Santa Cruz Warriors in the G League, which is surprising that he's playing in the minor league. I would have thought he'd get a contract for somebody bigger than that right now, but that's beyond the point. He's refusing to say who it was. I think the G League's sort of just looking into the incident, but I feel for the guy. He plays in an area that has a heavy Asian American influence. That's just uncalled for. There's things you can say to somebody on the court. That is just rude. All right, Kristaps Porzingis, or if you're a New York Knicks fan, maybe at one point in time you called him Porzingod. And I got to be honest with you. Oh, man. I I like laughing at the Mavericks about this guy. First off, nothing about this trade ended up being normal for either team. Listen, Porzingis is averaging about 18 or so points per game right now. He is definitely one of the best players on Dallas. However, the guy is injury prone. He's only 25 years old. A lot can change. He's still young. Most guys don't hit their prime until they're like 26, 27. But Porzingis has played quite a few years now in the NBA, 5 I want to say, and has spent none of them fully healthy, and that is a problem. In fact, when the Knicks traded him, it was after a pretty gnarly Achilles injury. So, what do? I'm pretty sure it was Achilles. If I'm wrong, email me, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Apparently, though, he could be on the move. Mavericks maybe had enough of him and want to get a real star to pair with Doncic. But it could be, he could maybe possibly head to the Golden State Warriors. I almost said Golden Bay. Weird. The Golden State Warriors could be the team that snatches him up. Golden State has a tendency to do this at times. Picking up guys who maybe have a little spark in the tank and they need a place to go. It's a cheap way for Golden State to remain competitive. If it works out, it would be huge. Really, whatever team gets him, there's a huge upside because when Porzingis is hot, the guy is on fire. And you know what? Dallas spent a lot to get him to Dallas. So they may end up just holding on. I don't know. But the rumors are flying out there, and right now the Warriors are the top team to scoop him up. The other big name on the market, possibly, Kyle Lowry. Now, Raptors fans are not going to want to hear that, but it's true. Now, Lowry is actually from the Philadelphia area. It's very possible that he gets traded to the Sixers. He's interested. Sixers are interested. Here's probably where the snafu is going to be. If you're the Raptors, you're going to want a big name to trade Kyle Lowry for, and Sixers are not giving up Embiid, so that leaves Ben Simmons. Now, I love Ben Simmons, but I think he's not quite the all-around great player they want him to be. Is Kyle Lowry much of a step up? I think Embiid, you really want to pair Embiid with a super-duper star. Use Ben Simmons in a trade to get an amazing player. Kyle Lowry is an amazing player, but his 18 points per game, and he's been around a while. He's been around quite a few years. It just doesn't. I'm just not buying in. I think there's a better player out there if they're going to make a huge trade like that. Now, if they can keep Simmons and Embiid and still trade for Lowry, I say absolutely go for it. Otherwise, don't trade away the young guy. Don't trade away a young budding star for someone a little older but has a lot of talent. If you can maybe trade Tobias Harris, who has a ridiculous contract. That would be a better option. Just saying. It's out there. You also have Dwight Howard, but Howard's really been he's really been a big deal for the 76ers, even if his name doesn't get shouted out as much. Oh, I went way too far here on my thing here. All right, let's talk about hockey. What do you think? All right, let's go back to Friday's games. Rangers got a win over the Bruins, 6-2. Big win for the Rangers. Big loss for the Bruins. They're trying to hold on to first place. Hint, they're not holding on to first place right now. Wild are beating the Kings 3-1. Avalanche get a win over the Coyotes 3-2. Sabres lose to the Flyers 3-0. Flyers are on a tear recently. Senators lose to the Flames 6-3. Capitals get a win over the Devils 5-2. Predators beat the Blue Jackets 2-1. Penguins get a win in overtime over the Islanders 4-3. Hurricanes beat the Panthers 4-3. Lightning beat the Stars 5-0. Maple Leafs blank the Oilers. Oh my goodness. The Oilers have Connor McDavid. They have the reigning Hart and Art Ross Trophy winner in Draisaitl. I can't say that dude's name. But either way, they can't score a single goal against the Maple Leafs. That's bad. Wild, they get a wild win in overtime. Come on, I had to do that. Over the Kings 4-3. Blackhawks fall to the Red Wings 5-3. Coyotes lose to the Avalanche 6-2. Jets get a win over the Canadiens 2-1. Golden Knights 3-2 over the Ducks. And the Blues get a win 7-6 over the Sharks. Now, Bruins got their revenge today, beating the Rangers 4-1. Predators beat the Blue Jackets 3-1. Flyers get a win over the Sabres 3-0. Capitals win over the Devils 3-2. Penguins are currently losing to the Islanders 2-0. And then you have the Red Wings and Blackhawks again tonight. Now, where are those standings at? Let's take a look at those standings. I actually love the 4-division thing that the NHL has going on this year. So the Lightning, 2 weeks ago, the Lightning were in 5th place, and last week, they're on a bit of a tear right now. They've won 4 straight games. They're back in first, tied with the Panthers at 29 points apiece. Hurricanes are 27. They're up there as well. Blackhawks, they could be for real. Patrick Kane is playing very well, and the Blackhawks haven't had a good team in a couple of years. So Blackhawks at 26, Blue Jackets 21, not far behind. Predators at 20, also not that far behind. And you have the Red Wings at 17 and the Stars at 16. I think the Stars being that low in the standings are the biggest glare to me. I just can't believe they're having such a rough year. In the East, you have the Capitals at 28, Bruins 26, Flyers at 25, Islanders at 24 points, and the Penguins at 23. That's your logjam. These teams have been up, down, all over the place. Obviously, Islanders, Penguins still have a game today, so Islanders win. They could be in second. I don't know what the tiebreaker would be between them and the Bruins. I think the Bruins would remain in second, and the Islanders move up 1 space. If the Penguins win today, they'll move up 2 spaces, and they'll be in third place. But, every game's different. After that, you have the Rangers at 17, you have the Devils at 16, and the Sabres at 15. One of the big things, the Penguins, I like talking about the Penguins because they are my favorite team. But one of the things to look at in the NHL standings, because it's hard to tell which teams are for real and which aren't, look at the goal differential. The Penguins have let in 63 goals versus 60 goals for. That's a -3. That tells me they're probably not going to do well, even if they make the playoffs this year, unless they break out of whatever funk they're in. The Penguins are not the same Pittsburgh team that we are all familiar with. Going into the West right now, the Golden Knights at 25, they're currently on top. Wild and Blues are not far behind with 24 each. Then you have the Avalanche at 23, Kings at 22, Coyotes 21. That's another bit of a logjam there. Ducks at 17, Sharks at 16. So I actually like this. All these divisions are really close. Anything can happen, and I'm loving it. Love. All right, and then you have the North. Maple Leafs are running away with it right now at 34 points, and by running away, they're 2 games ahead, I guess, whatever. Oilers at 28, Jets at 27, Canadians at 23, Flames at 22, Canucks at 18, and the Senators are at 15 points. Senators are 30 goals against right now. Remember when they went out and got Matt Murray? What happened there? All right, NHL stats. I love looking at statistics. Connor McDavid right now on top with 40. Draisaitl, whatever. He's at 34. Mitch Marner at 32. These are for points, top 3 right there in front of you. If you're looking at goals, though, Austin Matthews taking it at 18. Then you have McDavid at 14. And Brock Brozer for the Canucks at 12, and Toffoli's in there too. He's got 12 goals. Assists is McDavid, Draisaitl, and Marner. And then when we look at the goalies, I always like looking at the goalies. Minchuk and Joey Decord, they don't really have statistics here, so we're gonna go down to Mrazek. Mrazek's having an amazing season right now. He's leading the charge in goals against, save percentage, and does he have any shootouts? Looks like he's got 2 shootouts this year. Shutouts. Shootouts. That's always fun. And the defenseman. That's always fun. Rookies. Cool. All right, moving on. To the NFL. Russell Wilson. So a couple of... Russell Wilson, is he on his way out of Seattle? I don't know. I don't really see this. I think Seattle needs to make some moves and get this guy some pieces, people to throw to. I think if you put him in the right spot on the right team, you see a very dangerous team. Seattle without Russell Wilson doesn't really scream contender all that much to me. So there's 4 teams he's looking at. The Cowboys, the Raiders, the Bears, and the Saints. I like all of these teams, but if I'm him, I think the Cowboys or the Saints are your better bet. The Raiders have some good position players, and yeah, I think the right quarterback could take that team very far. Same goes for the Bears. But the Saints and the Cowboys, they just seem to be on another level right now. And you could be laughing at me talking about the Cowboys. Sure. On paper, though, offensively, imagine Ezekiel Elliott and Russell Wilson. You don't know if that ball's flying, running, who's got it. You don't know. Russell Wilson does it all right now for Seattle. Imagine if he had a guy like that backing him up. I really like that move. Their offensive line is terrible, but I really like the move. The Saints, however, the most interesting because the Saints are definitely a win now kind of team, and there's a big problem. The Saints have no idea if Drew Brees is retiring or not. He still hasn't fully come out and stated whether or not he intends to retire, and that could be an issue. Because if he waits too long, Saints could end up losing out on a guy like Westbrook. They could end up losing out on making a trade for Deshaun Watson or I don't know, anybody else who might be out there. Maybe Dak Prescott. I don't know. This is a bit of an issue. So, not sure what Drew Brees is going to do. He did post some video of him working out earlier this weekend. It doesn't really mean much. 42 years old, definitely has the talent to come back and play again. And nearly, got the Saints pretty darn far this year, but it's hard to say. All right, let's talk about baseball. Spring training returns today, and that means absolutely nothing unless you like watching a bunch of guys that aren't really going to make the team. But it's something, and we haven't had baseball now since October, so I will take it. Or November? When did I know the last season I think ended late, so I think we had late November. Early November. Anyway, Twins beat the Red Sox 7-6 today. Rays got a win over the Braves 9-7. Blue Jays beating the Yankees 6-4. Marlins won 6-1 over the Astros. Nationals and Cardinals tied at 4-4. This is America. We don't tie here. Pirates get a win over the Orioles 6-4. Tigers beat the Phillies 10-2. Royals get a win over the Rangers, 3-2. Dodgers beat the Athletics, 2-1. Angels beating the Giants, 5-2. Brewers win 7-2 over the White Sox. Indians got a win over the Reds, 5-1. Mariners beat the Padres, 5-4. Oh, did not mean to click on that. And then you have the Diamondbacks losing to the Rockies 5-2. So lots of spring training games on the horizon. Could be a fun time for all to have. Kansas City re-signs Hunter Dozier 4 years, $25 million in the extension. It's good for him. It's a good deal. 29 years old. He actually missed part of the season last year because of COVID, but he's been an important player for that team. Now, I love this next thing that I'm going to talk about. So earlier this year, the Major League Baseball announced that they were going to officially recognize the Negro leagues and its players as Major League Baseball players, as it should. And, there's been talk about, the level of play and who they played against, some people comparing the Negro League to an inferior league, and I'm actually going to show you. 538 came out with this, a beautifully made, I guess you could call it, statistical article, talking about baseball players from the Negro Leagues, current major leaguers, Hall of Famers, and comparing them. And so it's just really cool to click through. I'm not going to sit here because you could spend hours clicking through every Hall of Famer and every player and who they could compare to. But right in here you could see current MLB players and even Hall of Famers matched with Negro League players. Now, granted, current players, you have a lot of these dark blue dots. Those are current MLB players, and the red are Negro League players. So, as you get towards the bottom here, anything over this line is considered a decent baseball player. When you get to the Hall of Fame, you can see there are a lot of players over this +2 line. I don't remember exactly what all the numbers are. And again, I'm going to leave you guys to really go through this, but you should go through it. So they also take players we'll use Satchel Paige as an example. It shows what their WAR would be, compares them to current or major league players that we know and love or hate in this case, like Pedro Martinez. just moving on from that. Chris Sale. So there's another one, Ray Brown. So it's actually really cool. You can click through this and sort of get a sense for, who these players would compare to were they to play in Major League Baseball. And it's pretty cool. So my hope is that there's a number of players here that do eventually get into the Hall of Fame posthumously because they deserve it. And some of these records maybe that these guys have gets upheld. So I would love to see if that happens. All right, moving on. One last story for today. Trey Mancini for the Orioles got a standing ovation today. It was his first at-bat since fighting colon cancer. I believe it was late 2020. Actually, I don't remember when in 2020 it was, but he did have surgery last year. It was his first at-bat since, and the crowd went nuts. And I got to hand it to the guy. Keep up the good fight. Congratulations, getting out there, getting your first at-bat in a long time. And so we're happy for him. Happy for the Orioles. It's the only thing I'll be happy for the Orioles for a long time because they're terrible. But good for you, Trey Mancini. We're proud. With that, I'm going to end the show. If you like what you hear, find me on SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, and the Facebook. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. Special thanks, as usual, to Johanna Drago. She is the content editor, logo designer, and sometimes set designer of this podcast. The music you hear is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. And, of course, we got to thank our social media warriors, Mary Kay, Gary Albert, Joe Calabro, and others. Whoever else out there, if you love my show, awesome. Email me, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. I love to hear from my fans and friends. And I think that's all. I kind of told you already. Find me on all those amazing things. You can email me, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Check. And with that, like, comment, share, Twitter at me, and do all the funky doodads and social media. Yay, social media. Thank you, Big Brother, for allowing us to communicate long distances through a tiny black box. All right, friends, I'm going to call it... Ooh, sorry about that. Whoops. I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you so much for joining us, and of course, have a lovely caw-caw!